Hi, everybody. Welcome to the StartsLady.com. I am here today with a special guest speaker, Marcus Sanchez. I met him a long time ago at a networking event, and we kind of knew we wanted to connect. And he is the personal trainer for a friend of mine that's also in my BNI group. And I am just so excited to share him with you today. During the pandemic, he figured out how to make this virtual thing work for him. And so not only does he have a studio here in the San Antonio area, if you're local, but he also has the ability to train anywhere in the world virtually. If you got a computer with a camera or a cell phone with a camera, and you know you do, you are going to be able to work with Marcus. And I'm so excited. So Marcus, tell us about you and how you got started in all of this.
Yeah, great. First of all, thank you, Dr. Rowe, for having me. It was a pleasure meeting you and getting to know more about what you do and the lives you have helped and how you do it. Specifically, looking at blood and, all of those as your health parameters. But a little bit about myself. I played sports through high school and college and really loved the sport with track and football, but I really fell in love with the off season and the working out and how the body changes and the adaptations. And so I turned around and got my bachelor's degree in exercise science and human performance. And within a few weeks after graduating, picked up a job as a personal trainer at a corporate gym, Gold's Gym specifically here in San Antonio, and was there for about 9 years, held, many different roles, but I primarily stayed in the fitness department because that's really, my passion and where, I just see myself having the most impact. And after the pandemic, went back to work after a few months of furlough and realized that, I would like to, start my own thing and, just have my own, philosophy, applied to my business. And so I started FitFlex Training. And the whole purpose of it was to provide personalized but flexible programs because every body, every person is different. And I understand that. And, life happens and, we're all put together differently anatomical. Such as men and women, we're, put together differently. And everybody that, you see, we have differences. And so what I really like to, promote is a program that's sustainable for you and have the flexibility to do so. Because if you don't have the flexibility or if it's not sustainable, you just won't keep up with it. So I've applied that and now I can work with individuals one-on-one. I can do, in person, you do in, virtual, I can just do maybe monthly follow-ups, provide you a program, we chat about it and you go from there, whatever it is that's going to help you sustain a healthy and fit lifestyle. So I've been doing this for over 10 years. Late October, it was October 2020, I started my business, FitFlex Training, and been doing that ever since. And so it's been great, and I've seen some huge successes throughout my tenure, and it's just so exciting when I have a client come in and say, "Hey, I just lost two inches in my dress size," or "Hey, I just increased my my weights, doing the bench press." Whatever the case is, it's those small wins that I really look forward and just turning around lives, and finding that starting point is where I really focus on, because we get to a point where we're just stuck in a rut, right? And we don't know that we need exercise, or we don't know what we don't know. And so finding out where your starting point is and making the right steps and the right progressions to get you from point A to point B is what I really focus on. So cater to you individually, and it's what I love to do.
So what's the minimum requirement? What would they have to have? Is it as minimum as just having a pair of tennis shoes or bare feet, or do they need to have, equipment and access to a gym? Tell us about that.
Yeah, very, very good question. The assumption, that I see is, well, I have to have all this equipment. I have to have a gym. And yes, it's great. Having extra tools is awesome, but I see your body as the machine. I see your body as the tool. So if you've got a pair of tennis shoes, or if you just, have a pair of socks, or you want to go barefoot, if you have your body, we can make a plan for you. I focus on the primary fundamental movements, and there's 5, okay, that I assess with everybody. And we all have these movements, right? It's your squat pattern. So we're gonna take a look at your squats and see where your starting point is on that. It's your push pattern, right? Your pull pattern, your hip hinge, which is just picking anything up off the ground, right? And then your core, okay? So you got flexion, extension, and rotation. So I assess those 5 movements. If you've got those 5 movements, we can work with you.
That's awesome. So explain a little bit more about the push-pull portion of that. That was a term I hadn't heard before. So that's new. Is that unique to you?
Yes and no. You know, when I first started off as a personal trainer, I wanted to accommodate to as many people as I could. You know, I wanted to help as many people as I could. And looking at your biomechanics, you know, I always, you know, everybody, we all push, we all pull, and we all squat. So during my initial assessments, I said, hey, let me see a squat. How would you do it, Terry? How would you do it, Kim? Right. And then if we need improvements or if I see any imbalances, then we'll make the corrections, right? And I have everybody push. Okay. So we would do, for example, a push-up, right? And we do a modified push-up if needed. And then some sort of pull movement. So moving your body, pulling your body through space. Now, with the pushing and the pulling.
I lost you there. Can you hear me? Oh, I lost your sound, Marcus.
Let me see. I am here. Can you hear me?
Yes, there's a delay in the video and there's a delay on the sound, but we'll get it corrected here. Go ahead. So
sorry about that.
I lost you right after you started to talk about the push-pull.
Oh, push-pull. Okay. So for example, a pushing pattern could be a push-up, right? It could also be an overhead press. It could also be a dip, right? Those all fall in the push pattern. So I take a look at either one of those, right? Another good example is pull, right? So pull straight forward, right? A seated row, or you can pull your body up as a pull-up, or you can pull something up, right in front of you, okay? And then the squat is a squat, right? And so squatted pattern is, you know, something that, you know, has gotten away from us. But if you look at any primitive tribe, how they sit and chat and socialize and conversate, they're in the deep squat position.
They are. We lived in Japan for 3 years and everybody was, you know, always, that's their resting mode was just squatted, you know, sitting there at the side of their building or sidewalk or in front of their house or just to have a conversation. So it was very natural. And here's us, you know, American military people over there, and we're like standing erect, you know, like, like you want us to squat? You want us to sit on the sidewalk, really?
And it's so interesting with mobility, right? I have a newborn. He's about 6 weeks old, and I've got a 2-year-old. So we have the most mobility during infancy. It's, you know, the repetitive movements that we do throughout life that we either maintain that mobility or we lose it. And for the most of us, we don't sit in that deep squat, you know, as we move on through life, right? We're sedentary, we sit in a chair or we stand erect, right? And so we get back to the fundamental movements in your foundation. That is your foundation: the squat, the push, the pull, the hinge, okay? So picking up anything off the ground, and then your core, right? So I assess all of those in the initial, you know, consultation to kind of see where your starting point is at, because I want to make the small progressions to get you from point A to point B, right? In small little steps. So we're making the changes and we're not injuring ourselves and we're not hating it, right? Because if we don't like exercise, how sustainable really you know, is it?
Exactly. So, I actually saw something, and then you just brought it to memory about the newborns. Back when I was having babies, you know, my last one's 24 years old, but way back when, it just popped in my brain that they said if you got on the floor and you imitated the baby for even just 10, 15, 20 minutes a day, that you would get your pre-pregnancy, you know, body back again in no time, because those babies are, I mean, they're literally pivoting off their belly button and all fours are off the ground and going every direction, and or they're on their back, or they're using everything. And you just follow their patterns, and what a workout that would be. You couldn't keep up, you know, as an adult. So very simple things like that. So that's exciting. So if we just have a pair of tennis shoes or bare feet, we could get out and do some walking with you. Is that, you just take us on your phone and walk us through how to get that started? Is that what would happen?
That's right. Yeah. During the initial assessment, if we're doing a Zoom, you know, a virtual session, it's a little more difficult. So I would, you know, just have you set up, you know, in one area, and then I would just kind of move you around, and we'd check all 5 of those patterns. Let me see a squat. Let me see you push. Let me see you pull. Let me see you hinge, and then let's get on the ground. Let's do some core. Let me see, you know, what that looks like.
Okay.
And that's it. And after that, it gives me a pretty good idea of where you're starting at as far as biomechanics and functionality and mobility, right? And then I tie all those in, to a quick circuit just to check your conditioning, right? If you've got a heart monitor with your smart watch or whatever that case may be, that's even better, because then I can kind of see where your heart rate is, and the conditioning of your cardiovascular system as well.
Gotcha. Okay. So if I were to recommend somebody to go to, or even myself, what would be the cost and time involvement commitment to you? Is it set time every day? What is it? How walk me through me joining you to do this as a program?
Yeah. So let's take the scenario as a new client, right? You heard about me, you want to get started, you've got something going. I offer an initial, I guess call it an intro pack, right? So it's 3 sessions, right? And what we do is we do all those movements, and then we do maybe a little bit more on the second and third, just to kind of see, single, unilateral, whatever the case is, whatever you need specifically. And during the initial consultation, I determine what you're looking for, also what you need, right? And so what that looks like is we go through the first session, do the assessments, kind of get a baseline, and then, make some progressions. And if there's any correctives that we need in there as well to help with those movements, we do that. That package is one-on-one directly with me, whether it's in person or it's via Zoom. Those 3 sessions come out to $150. So they're $50 per session. Okay. After that, if we decide to go with the program, you're looking at maybe anywhere from $300 a month to, $700. If you're looking at it monthly, if you're looking at it per session, it can be anywhere from 65 to 85, just depending on the quantity, the frequency, and all of that. So if you're looking for one-on-one, that's going to be kind of the rate. I do highly recommend, but it's not needed, highly recommend the intro pack, just so I get a little bit more information and data on you, right, to better, program your workouts. If you decide to go with the group, that is totally fine. You do not have to do that 3 for 150, that intro pack, but it's highly recommended. So that way I know how to modify your exercises during the group classes.
Sure. And how long are these classes? Is this a 30-minute, 60-minute? What is it?
Preferably they're 60 minutes. I do offer a 30-minute, but I don't recommend those unless I've worked with you a little bit longer. But again, it's just a recommendation. If we have a time constraint or, funds, money, obviously, is, maybe we don't have the budget just quite yet, we can absolutely do 30-minute sessions as well.
And do you do anything with like groups? Because in my mind, I'm thinking, what if I got some of the clients to do the 3 initial pack, and if they like it, that we could actually meet together and motivate each other by meeting at the gym, and working out together. Is that something that you offer?
Yeah, there's definitely some pros to having a buddy or a small group, or even, a larger group, for the accountability, for the competition and motivation with each other. But if we decide to put one of those together, we can do it, per session. I would rather per session, it would be at $25 per session, per person. So It really makes it more cost affordable. It gives you that competitive environments, motivation environment, right? And we're all kind of working together, towards a common goal.
It's kind of an accountability thing. When I do my weekly Zoom meet and eat luncheons, the energy of the conversation increases, because we're being able to just kind of bounce off of each other, and it's not just me lecturing. We're able to have a conversation and get to know each of the people a little bit more intimately, and what their challenges are. And so I always have them go through, how did their week go? How well did they stay on plan? And as we talked before, I teach a whole food, plant-based lifestyle. And I do that because of this little guy right here, and my one at the office that's like the size of a toddler. So I specialize in microscopic blood health. And I have found over the years, just from my training, but in actual applicable life, working with clients that have disease of every name, from the most horrific, you've got 90 days left to live kind of diagnosis, down to, they've got a rash because they were in the garden and got, some poison ivy or something, anything that they come to me with, we can get to the root and we can improve just by a dietary change. And we prove that every day in the microscope. So with a drop of blood out of their fingertip, we can analyze what they've been eating and tell them what they've been eating without them opening their mouth and saying a word, because different foods will form different crystals in the body. And we don't want crystals in the blood. There's never a person on the planet that says, hey, you got some good crystals going on in your blood? That's not a thing. So if I see turquoise crystals floating in the blood, I know this person is not assimilating dairy, because dairy is the only thing that you can consume that would turn those crystals turquoise. Animal proteins are black crystals. Gluten type things are brown crystals. Infections are red. Environmental or blue. I mean, there's all these different things that we can just see what's going on. Not only that, but the actual shaping and concept of the blood. I don't know if you can see this here on screen, but see how these big crystals right here, that doesn't belong in the blood. Or how about these mutated cells right here? Does not belong. It needs to be round and smooth and floating freely like helium balloons, right? There's a bunch of gunk in the plasma here too, a bunch of yeast and bacteria going on. This is supposed to be red with black lines. If we can focus on that, look how that looks like it's raised like spackle on your wall, like you need to paint that or something. This person was told they had 90 days left to live and they were going into hospice. According to her oncologist, an incurable disease. Well, this is her blood just 2 weeks later. The blood cells have separated. There's just a little bit of yeast here in the middle, but look at the red with the black lines. That's what I was looking for the first time. So with that being said, as her numbers went from 6,500 to 44, I think it was, then down to 2,000, as it kept dropping and dropping, the oncologist actually asked me to come in and explain how I did that. You know, what was she doing to make that happen? And it came down to hydration and dietary changes and removing the foods that cause the rot and decay in the blood. And she got better. I mean, that's just how it works, you know, or like this one here. All we did was change his hydration in the 7 days from the 7th to the 14th. All the cells were stuck together here. It's called rouleau, which is a excessive protein in the blood. And here it is just a week later and how it improves. Not perfect, but which would you rather have making your blood cells and your tissue and organs? You know what I mean? And so when we get into teaching people like that, this is something that I can offer through the mail. I can't do the live because the live blood would have dried before it gets back, but I can do the dry blood sample and get a huge amount of information off of just the dry blood alone. For example, this one, just real quick, this is a dry blood sample here. And you don't need to go to school as long as I did to know that that doesn't look right. These polymerized protein petals here, again, is somebody who's eating excessive amounts of protein and their body's not able to assimilate it. And then here's their blood, the dry blood sample, just 30 days later, and how it improved. Not perfect, but it's getting there. Do you see?
Yeah.
So with that being said, the ability to help each other long distance, even with people around the world that, you know, they're getting in shape physically. I saw it on Instagram this morning, you know, on Facebook, the little TikToks pop up, and I wanted to scream. There's this man, and he's doing squats against the wall, and his legs were this big and just like 3 major sections of muscles. And then he goes over and he's lifting this, you know, 250-pound weight. And the caption says, you know, people ask me all the time how I can eat and do whatever I want all the time. And at age 50, have such a great physique. And it's like, oh my gosh, I got to see this guy's blood. He has no idea that he is cutting his life short, because if he's stressing his body to those extents and he's not taking care of the nutrients and observing what's going in to make those muscles, tissues, and organs, he is a heart attack, disaster, whatever, waiting to happen, you know? So how does dietary things play into what you do?
Those things right there excite me. And I'm really glad that we were able to connect and partner and collaborate, because I understand that, you know, health and wellness and fitness is more than just movement. You know, I consider myself the movement specialist, but I understand my boundaries. So I partner with, you know, other health and wellness professionals, such as recovery, nutrition, supplementation, and now, you know, you with more specific nutrition and your blood sampling, that, you know, all of these things, you know, play into a healthy lifestyle. And so with that, I have created a network, and so with us collaborating, with our clients, and you are able to take a sample of their blood and really analyze and see, what behaviors need to change and what habits need to change. And as I spoke to you, once before, our bodies are built to move, right?
Yes.
We have muscles attached to our bones specifically to move. So when we move, good things happen. And when we don't move, that's when we start getting into our ailments and, not so good things happen. So nutrition, I do play, do understand nutrition, and I do understand, macronutrients. I'm not a specialist by any means. I'm not a registered dietitian by any means. And so if, any of my clients need some nutrition help, I give them guidance. But if it's something very specific and if they need, somebody, I understand that is, outside of my scope, and I refer them to you, for example. And so nutrition, supplementation, recovery, those are, three of the primary, components to, fitness and a healthy lifestyle, is because you can bust your butt in the gym, but if you're not recovering and eating the right things to help your body repair and recover, you're just taking a step backwards. So
yeah, like 2 steps forward and 3 steps back if they're not doing that. Yeah,
right,
I
exactly.
totally hear that. My other passion would be the hydration. And I was actually at a hospital with the mother of a client a few years back. And the doctor literally came in and told her that she'd go home and he wanted to drink fluids. And I said, well, can you specify for her that she needs to be drinking water? That's our fuel. We're electric. We run on water and salt. And he literally said, this medical doctor literally said to her, I don't care what she drinks. Just go home and drink coffee, soda. I don't care. I just want some fluids in her. And I went, ah! I was like, my hair stood up, and oh my gosh, I was like, you got to be kidding us. Would you like to repeat that for my book, please? I'm writing a book, and I can't fix stupid, but I need to have that in my book. You know what I mean? And so it's like, oh my gosh, why would he do that? So he because he heard I was writing a book, he charged out of the room and he disappeared for like 3 hours, left us there. When he came back, he was the nicest guy. And he was telling her, listen to your friend, drink water when you get home. It's like, okay, what happened to the weirdo that was here 3 hours ago? And I guarantee you, he spent the last 3 hours on the phone with his attorney saying, can she quote me in her book? Can she really do that? And it's like, yes, she can. Go make nice, And it's like, oh my gosh, it's like, and people don't understand that. And I get so stressed out when I go past, like, I'm not going to name names, but, those little shops on the corner that sell black stuff in a glass, and, and people line up early before work and they get 2 or 3. And it's like, oh my gosh, that all used to be money one time. I would love to have that money coming through there. But what they're doing to their cells, what they're doing to their adrenals, what they're doing to the lining of their stomach and their colon and their heart and their brain. I mean, there's so much that they don't realize. Yes, it's a thing that goes in my mouth. Yes, it gives me pleasure, but what are the consequences of that pleasure? And they don't know that until I show it to them in their blood. Again, they don't have to tell me, but I can tell if they're drinking soda. I can tell if they're drinking coffee. I can tell if they're drinking alcohol just by the way that the blood sample looks in the microscope, and it blows their mind and it empowers them to go, oh my gosh, what I eat and drink does matter. And I tell people I liken it unto a car. I've got one car that takes premium, and I've got one that takes the middle grade. And then we had another car that took the lower grade. But if I got to the pump and got confused or sidetracked and I put the wrong fuel in the wrong car, what happened to my car? It didn't work right? It didn't perform optimally. So when I tell people, when you put more than just water in your tank, for your hydration, you're not running optimally. And so that's been a really interesting concept for them. And I love to partner with people like yourself around the nation that can help promote that. And I give referral bonuses. I love helping people to clean up their water and get their hydration back on track, and then their nutrition, and those things go hand in hand. And then we get the physical with you, because that is definitely not my forte. And I'm just now moving out to the country and trying to get them tennis shoes out a little bit more often, because, I'm going to be 61 in a couple of weeks. And I do not want to be that person I see at the store that is leaning on things and using a cane because they can barely carry themselves around. I want to have that hip flexion. I want to have that, movement and be able to get down and play with the grandkids. And as the side effect, I call it, when you start to get healthy, the side effect is your body starts to automatically lose extra weight that's on it. And so as the weight comes off, the desire to move and be more flexible is there. Now we just got to tone it up. So that leads me to my next question. How, Marcus, do you deal with loose skin? How do you deal with that one for your clients?
Well, one of the top ones is water.
There you go.
Believe it or not, staying hydrated, it is inevitable, as we age and, or if we lose weight too quickly that our skin can't catch up, but it will tighten up to a certain extent. Staying hydrated is probably the top key component to that, but also staying active. The contractility of what you do when you move, right, in your muscles, but also your skin and myofascia is doing that as well. So movement and hydration is what are going to be, and time, I should say. If for those who lose weight pretty quick and pretty rapidly, it will take some time for your skin to kind of bounce back. But staying hydrated and moving is going to help you get there faster. That's
right. And I noticed too that some of that is not only just the, a lot of it is the hydration, but being able to sweat, all these things tie together, all that as you're sweating, you're releasing hydration. So you have to, compensate for that and make it so it's a good balance. And then I know there's one exercise that I've really wanted to start getting into again. I've done it a few times and it's like, I just need to do it. I had knee surgery, so it's hard for me to get up and down sometimes, but it's the plank. And I've noticed that plank engages everything, including your ear balls. Every inch of your body is engaged, not just the core, but every inch of you is holding you in that position. And there was another TikTok video. It was a mom and she was doing a plank next to her baby on the floor. And this baby couldn't have been 9 months old. And the baby literally got up on its toes and its hands and was doing a plank next to mom, this little itty bitty tiny baby. And it's like, we lead by example, parents, grandparents, neighbors and friends, we don't even have to have, little people watch this. We just need to be able to perform for ourselves, be accountable for ourselves. And that's probably the hardest part. That's why having somebody like you to show up and walk through. I mean, I could do videos on YouTube for free, but they're not going to hold me accountable. They're not going to see my form and say, hey, what are you doing down there on the floor? You're supposed to be up. The video doesn't see that on YouTube. You would see that because we're in a live interaction with each other. And I love that about this opportunity to work with you and share you with, my clients and loved ones. So what else would you offer us? What else would you want to tell us? And because I know you've got another client to get to, so I don't want to keep you all day.
Yeah.
I could talk to you for hours, Marcus.
I know this is what excites me. And just going back on, kind of what you're saying and what you do and what I do, what we do is for the most part an experience. You can't really touch it, you can't see it, you can't feel it. With yours a little more so because you got the blood sample, but a lot of people just don't know what they don't know. And it's not until you actually get in front of one of us, right, and that we kind of open their eyes and see, like, hey, for the past 10 years, you think you've been leading a healthy lifestyle, or moving, as much as you can. And you made a great analogy earlier, and the one that has stuck with me as far as movement is the day you stop moving is the day you stop moving. And you were referring to your age, getting older and don't want to have to use a cane. And if our bodies are so resilient and so adaptable that if we keep doing those things and make it a habit and doing them every day, we can extend our lives exponentially. It's just not knowing what to do is what I see the common issues when I speak to individuals. And so if there's anything that you can do just to keep moving, I I'm all for it. I am not one to really kind of bash or, talk down on, like CrossFits or, Tough Mudders or anything like that, because one, yes, do I have some opinions about them and think that, they could be better or, they could accommodate a little bit? Yeah, of course. But at the same time, hey, that person is moving. That person is, and if you're moving, you're wanting to get to a point where you're still seeing results. And so you're going to say, well, hey, can I clean up my nutrition? Hey, can I clean up my blood? Hey, can I recover better? Hey, are there any supplementations that'll help, enhance, what I'm seeing? And so it all kind of has a snowball effect. And, I just highly encourage everybody just to get moving, just to, have an initial consultation with you, just to kind of, identify the unknowns, right? And just, kind of see, where you're at in time, where you're at this day and how you can make those, small progressions to improve.
Right. And little tips that we can give them for everything from pain, because some people is like, no pain, no gain. They're afraid to go to that pain spot. But if they knew that if they were properly hydrating, if they were properly sweating, that lactic acid leaves their body and then they don't have the pain. Anytime your body has a pain, I don't care where it is, it's literally crying out saying, hey, water down here, please, and it's wanting you to give it that hydration. And the pain goes away like easily. A glass of water will take more for a pain than the aspirin that they took to go with that glass of water. Do you know what I mean? And it doesn't cause damage to the liver, and it doesn't cause damage to the kidneys by putting that pill in that glass of water, which is what their body was asking for all along. So education goes a long way. And I love that you and I are on the same page for that, to not just, hey, you've got to do this. I've been to gyms like that before. You got to do this, but with the education that tells me why I need to do that and what that's going to benefit me if I can get my body to move in this direction versus that direction, and so on and so forth. So I'm really excited. But thank you, Marcus. I know you got to get to another appointment, and I want to keep this.
Hey, it was a pleasure.
Yeah, so
we can do this all day.
we could, and I'm looking forward to doing this. My guys leave out on their nationwide filter change trip this weekend, and you and I have a date set up for when they're gone to get this started and make it happen. So I'm excited about that. All right. Well, if you have any questions for Marcus, tell us how to get a hold of you. Tell us about your website. We didn't even get there yet. I know you're out of time. I wanted to go to your website.
No, you are good. You are good. I've got a website. It's www.fitflextraining.com. Spell that is FITFLEXTRAINING.com. There is a contact form in there. You can submit your name. It'll shoot me an email. I'll get back with you as soon as possible, either via email, phone call, or text message. I will also leave my cell phone number with Dr. Rose. So if you are in direct contact with her, she can give you that. Also, my email address is in there as well. So I look forward to helping anybody.
Should I go over there and show it to them real quick so they know what it looks like? I can do it real quick.
Yeah.
Let me go real quick and show it to them.
I still have a few minutes. You are good. Okay,
let's do that, because I want them to see. I'm a visual person, and if I don't see the logo and stuff, I think I'm on the wrong page. You know what I mean? So www.FitFlex Training. There we go. Looks like this. It's going to have a black screen by Marcus Sanchez, and you'll have all his contact information there. And got some success stories and stuff, I'm guessing, on over here. Testimonials. Yep. Let's hit some of them testimonials, because that's where your bread and butter lies, right there. Happy customers. Look at all that. 5 stars. 7 years ago. Look at that. They've been with you for a long time. Look at that. That's awesome.
Also have Instagram and Facebook. It should be on there somewhere, maybe under the contact.
So Instagram,
but there's an inquiry form.
Is it FitFlex? Yep, there it is right there. And you'll see this one with the little weight icon that he's got here, the FitFlex with the weight. You're looking for that icon there. And you can see several of his videos and posts here regarding how he's helping people just in such a tremendous, phenomenal way. Oh, bodybuilding right there. Oh, look at him before and after. That's amazing.
We've got some great clients that have seen some excellent results, and they just keep coming.
There's a person on Instagram that I've been following lately that during the pandemic, she lost almost 200 pounds in that 2-year period. And now she's doing competition bodybuilding. And
Wow.
to see the difference in her transformation is just incredible. So that was that. We got YouTube. Is there a YouTube channel too?
Not at the moment, but I'm working on that.
So Instagram and then
Yep,
Facebook. I think you're on Facebook too, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Let's see. So if we go over here to Facebook, what does that look like? So we're going to look for FitFlex Training. Will it come up? There it is. Get this moved out of the way. I can get to it. There we go. And make sure that you go and like and join his page there and follow along with the information that he's sharing with you on a regular basis. So I love these kind of things with the before and afters and the confidence that comes when somebody's able to make that's only 4-month progress, and look how much better she looks there. Yeah. So, and it's not just about look, it's all about the whole experience and feeling and improving.
That's right.
All of that. Mindset is huge. I get so frustrated with people that take the shortcut and think that a bypass surgery is going to get that weight off of them, but they didn't learn anything valuable that's going to sustain them through life. And within a matter of months or a couple of years, they've gained back so much of that weight because they didn't learn anything new, you know?
That's right. Yep.
So definitely want to give you kudos for that. I'm going to pop this back here. So you got the visual on that of how to find Marcus. You've got his contact information there. Reach out to him and make this 2022 your year. And we look forward to having you back as a guest again soon. And you can see, we can discuss the before and after Dr. Rowe. Okay.
That's right. That's right. All right, Dr. Rowe. Well, it was a pleasure. Thank you so much. And you have a good day.
Thank you so much. Bye now.
Bye-bye.